It was just really. You want the real story?
Yeah, with the real story. That's what we're here. We're talking about real stuff.
So, honestly.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us on the Elation Podcast today with Eli Davis. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing great.
Good to see you. We're going to get a little bit about, what your creative and your passions are and what you're working towards. But let's get into the origin story first. Where are you from?
Okay, so I was born in St. Louis, Missouri.
St. Louis.
I was raised in Sugar Land, Texas, and I came to New Orleans about 8 years ago, and it's home to me now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what brought you here?
So I came here for college.
Okay.
I just graduated from the University of New Orleans.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So was there something that UNO offered that you wanted to come here specifically for?
Yes. So University of New Orleans has a phenomenal television and film program. They have everything. They have the acting, they have the theater, they have the camera work, all of everything that you need. So it was a really wonderful, immersive experience.
That's awesome. From my understanding, UNO was one of the first to implement more of entertainment, TV, film classes. Back 16 years ago, they actually kind of started it, and I think they were one of the originals. So that's good to see that they're still ramping their stuff up. How would you say your education was? Did you enjoy being at UNO?
I did.
Yeah.
Shout out to James Rowe. He was an awesome professor. And the entire department, they brought in, like actors and other people to come and speak to us. One of the people I got to speak to was Derek Augustine.
Okay.
Yeah, he was awesome. He was in The Godfather of Harlem, and he was awesome. And trying to remember anybody else. Oh, Richard Linklater.
Okay.
Yeah, I got to work with him. That was pretty cool.
Awesome.
On Hitman.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so, it's really good that they bring in working actors to talk to you, or working people to talk to you. I mean, the industry changes so fast that I feel like if you're not talking to people who are in it and doing things, you're actually going to be kind of behind.
Yeah.
So it's good that they bring people in. When did you start acting, or when did you really want to start acting, I guess I could say?
So I started in college, actually. So I started doing student films, and the first film I worked on, or one of the first, was Burnt Rue. And it actually did really wonderful. I went to the New Orleans Film Festival, and it was directed by Eli Davis, and I was Betty Ann.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I've heard of Burnt Rue. Actually,
yeah?
I heard of it. Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm on the board of Film Louisiana. So I'm into the scene a little bit. I definitely heard of Burnt Rue. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Absolutely. What drew you to acting? What was there something that I guess triggered that love?
Okay, so it was just really. You want the real story?
Yeah, with the real story. That's what we're here. We're talking about real stuff.
So, honestly, I was walking to class. So my major at first was actually pre-med biology. And so I was on the way to organic chemistry, and I was mad. I was like, I'm going to fail this exam. Turned around to go home, to go back to my dorm, and I see across the street they're filming a commercial. I'm like, I'm curious. Let me go over there. So I'm like, hey, can I be in this? And they were like, no. And I was like, well, how do I get involved? And so they actually told me, I started off doing like background work, and they were like, yeah, get some footage, like do student films. And so like that's what started my journey, and I just never stopped. I kept going.
Wow, that's funny. You know, listen, you have to have a little drive and a little creativity and a little, openness in those moments to just go ask, hey, how do I do this and be a part of it?
Yeah.
But that's awesome. I mean, those powerful moments can change lives.
Yeah, I'd like to add, I ended up changing my major to TV and film, and I really found my purpose in this. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, shout out to good teachers and good people on the set that actually give you a direction, you know?
Yeah.
Is there anyone in your family that's creative? Did you get any of this with, some family members or?
So actually, no. It's more like business, educators, things along those lines, like engineers. So I'm the first person that's stepped on this creative
the creative bomb, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, it's definitely it's a hard life decision, I feel like, because,
Mm-hmm.
once you go in that creative role, you truly open and expose yourself in ways that you never thought of,
Yeah.
and you let people give opinions, and you're supposed to take that in without being critical on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it actually teaches you a lot about yourself too, because it allows you to be open to those things.
It does. Yeah.
So what was your first film that you acted in?
Yeah, so that was Burnt Rue.
That was Burnt Rue.
Yeah,
Okay.
with Keisha, yeah.
Well, so I heard there was stuff with Mike Tyson that you've done, and you also did something else in boxing. Where, why, how did that end up where you're doing multiple things for a boxing situation?
Yeah, so that was all through Caballero, and it's funny because it was very back to back.
You almost got typecasted really quickly, right?
It was very back to back. I also I auditioned for Creed 3
Okay.
around the same time.
Okay.
So triple
movie.
boxing. Yeah. So with the Mike Tyson series, they were looking for, someone to play Mike Tyson's daughter, just like, do a small cameo. So I did that. And then on the George Foreman film, I was a girlfriend to a character named Mr. Lamont. So I was Miss Lamont.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was very nice
Did you have any speaking parts?
No, it was just a cameo.
Just cameos?
Just cameos.
Did you get to meet Mike?
No, I don't think. No, he didn't come.
He didn't
to
come
set,
down to set.
No.
So funny, crazy story, Mike. So I was in the car business years ago, and my business partner Piero Navarro and I had supercars. Motor cars of distinction. Supercars was afterwards, but motor cars of distinction, and Mike was one of our clients.
Oh wow!
So it was kind of funny that
so cool.
that he was awesome and fun to deal with and all that stuff. But did you learn anything about him on those sets? Like, did you learn anything about his story that was like, oh, that's cool?
Yeah, he lived a life. Seriously,
right?
Yeah, I learned he lived a life.
Yes.
Yeah.
He lived
Very
a good life,
yeah.
and spent a lot of money and had a lot of fun. He's a genuine, open-hearted guy, and you just don't get that, with a lot of people. There's nothing that happened to Mike that Mike feels like he has to shut himself off, his light off. Mike is the light in any room that he walks into.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Well, so did you have fun in those moments? What was your best moment of shooting some of those films?
Honestly, I would say it's the same with every film or every project that I'm a part of is the people. Because I've noticed like a lot of these people, it's the same people on every set in New Orleans. And it's just like a really big community. And I met a lot of the people I call family there. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, going back to the creatives, we love to generate a family around us of creators. Music's the same way, So there's small circles of people that work, especially in this city. And you can create a family and a circle of movement, and everybody kind of enjoys that circle of movement, so that's great. Well, when did you start teaching?
So I started teaching because I felt like if I was going to be in the entertainment industry, then I wanted to have a positive impact in the community. And so for that reason, I joined WIFT, which is a nonprofit focusing on just building up women who are already in TV and film. And then I also started teaching just to reach the younger generation as well and find the people like, hey, you're interested in this, I can help you. So
awesome.
That is why I started teaching.
So you're teaching directly, you're acting, or what exactly are you teaching?
I'm teaching theater. So we're really, it's STEAM. So science, technology, engineering, arts, and math.
Right.
In relation to theater. So it's finding a way to combine theater arts into these subjects to bring more interest into the field.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. A friend of mine is in charge of the STEAM project for Atlanta for the public school system. And he did a similar situation for the music because he's more, I guess, on the music side. But random stuff like he was having them memorize what was it? Tupac's I forget, Only God Can Judge Me, because there's no cursing in it.
Yeah.
So it's a school. So he made, doing things like that with young kids gets them excited about the future, and participation, I think goes up in all of their lives. And when they get inspired by something, then I feel like the STEAM project really helps with that in all of the states, because music, science, art are all things that
Very
truly
intertwined.
inspire
Yeah.
you to do something in your life. So I feel like the more and more they can dump into all of that money, budget wise, it needs to go there.
Yeah.
So what would be some of your favorite things, I guess, that you think that you teach your kids that they truly attach to? Like what's one of the things that you really want your students to learn before they leave?
So I really want them to feel comfortable being who they are fully. And actually, so I'm working on a STEAM series, a book series.
Okay.
Yeah, and I do hope to turn it into an educational animated series for kids.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Specific to theater?
Specific to STEAM.
Okay.
So yeah, it's taking educational aspects of basically everything and just bringing it or presenting it in a way to where it's interesting to kids who are about 5 to 8 years old. So
awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, and also teaching gives back a lot to the person, the teacher. You know, especially if that person has a real connection to what they're wanting to teach. So what do you feel like it gives to you when you're teaching these kids?
So for me, it helps me to know that I'm doing this for the greater good and it's selfless what I'm doing and it's not like, like a self-absorbed thing. Like I'm acting to be an actor. Like no, I'm acting because, it motivates people, it tells a story, it speaks to people. Yeah, so
that's awesome. No, and I mean, the more generations that I feel like attached to good teachers. I mean, there were some really good teachers in my life that changed the direction of my life, and changed where, a thought process or even an idea that I had in my head that they sparked. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go with it because they believed in it or they, said it was a good idea. So I feel like teachers can play a very, very intricate role, in your lives. So were there any teachers that played big roles in your lives?
So actually my mom.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom, I grew up with an educator. So yeah.
Okay, so she's a teacher.
She is a teacher. And
Okay.
that's kind of where I got like, oh, okay, yeah, I want to be a theater teacher from. Because I was like, okay, yeah, I'll be an actress, but I have to also go back to my roots and respect where I came from. So yeah, I decided to integrate the two and I was like, okay, yeah, I'll start hosting theater classes.
Where does she teach and what does she teach?
So I don't know where she teaches now. I think now she may still be at Rita Drawbeck in Houston. And she teaches, what does she teach? I think she teaches English. I'm not sure, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anymore. Well, she's taught for like 15 years, so I can't keep up.
So not in arts, but but English.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I guess, English is art. I mean, in my English class, I learned about Shakespeare. I learned about a lot of things, I guess, that you could translate, to theater. Mm-hmm. What would be your favorite Broadway? Being a theater teacher, what would be your favorite Broadway?
Honestly, I'm a musical girl, and I have the kids right now watching Annie.
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. Mm-hmm. I feel like Hamilton was one of my favorites. I love theater. I've been to Broadway a bunch of times as far as like watching. I've been to the original Queen's Theater in London and saw Chicago and Phantom of the Opera there. In Italian, which was kind of crazy. And I've seen a Phantom of the Opera here, Young Frankenstein, a bunch of Broadway shows, and I feel like it's a little bit of a lost art in this tech world that we're in.
Yeah.
What do you feel the stage gives you that's different than, let's say, a TV screen?
Yeah, I would say you almost have to do theater. Like I feel like theater prepares you for the screen because actually I just took an intensive with Raven Drummer. She's a casting director for Tyler Perry Studios. And one of the things she said, it's easier to start bigger and make it smaller. And TV actors actually have a more difficult time transitioning into theater because it's harder to start smaller and get bigger.
Right.
Yeah, so I am happy. I do have like a theater background, so I am happy that's where I started because I feel like it made the transition like very, very easy.
Well, because theater is a lot more difficult than a TV camera.
Yeah.
There's a lot more intricate things that happen with the crowd, and you play off of it or screw up. What advice would you give someone who is making that transition?
I would say definitely take your experiences on the stage and just internalize it because it'll come out. It will show.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, is there any moments acting on stage where you've looked at the crowd and attached eyes with somebody and it not messed you up, but it made you kind of jump and turn into maybe a little different line or a little bit different way in a sense?
So honestly, I think breaking that fourth wall is kind of fun, like interacting with the audience. So one thing I've done before is actually do like a dinner performance,
Okay.
like a mystery theater where you get to interact with the audience and they do get to kind of like push the story
I
along.
got you. Almost
Yeah, so that's
narrate a
pretty
little bit.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Okay. Almost
Yeah.
like a comedian would go off the
Yeah.
crowd in a sense,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think comedy and theater have a little bit of a blend?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm a Virgo, filmed here. Yeah, that was great. We had, what was that? That was Mike Epps.
Yep.
Yeah, he is comedy theater.
Yep, 100%. I feel like it really goes hand in hand because
Yeah.
you're reading the crowd, you're going off the crowd, you got your set, but you don't always, I guess, follow your set 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Each performance is a little different. There's a lot of things that are, I feel like similar.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Well, tell us about the strike, the SAG strike. What do you think? Well, I guess you could tell us what has changed because you were a certain way before the strike, and now the strike's over. How do you think the strike has helped your life, or has it hurt your life in any way?
Okay. Well, for me, I think it made me realize that I was not alone. And I'm gonna say that because during the strike, there was a rally. And I went to the rally,
Mm-hmm.
in support of the strike and support of everything that was going on. And I looked to see who was there, and it was everyone. Everybody was there, and everybody was affected, but also everybody was very strong. So it made me realize that I'm not, struggling alone, even though
Right.
the work is not here now.
Right.
And when I come out, the same people will be, like by my side, and like we're here together, and it's everybody's battle. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, unions definitely do that for you. I mean, I would say that musicians down here need a union because,
Yeah.
or in total need a union because, there's so much that is not fought for them and how much we enjoy them but don't fight for them. So, I feel like if we as musicians need unionize the same way that actors did, I feel like a lot of things would change in the industry. So I'm glad to see people fighting together.
Yeah.
Do you think you think it was worth the fight? Or did you guys get what, in the sense, you were intended to get?
I feel like I am waiting to reap the benefits.
Okay.
So, yeah. I can say auditions have gotten like a lot shorter as far as like the amount of information I have to memorize. So, that's been a benefit that I've seen like immediately. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel like those things also take time
They
to
do.
unravel a
Yeah.
little bit. It takes time. I mean, the industry is still kind of up in the air down here right now. Are there any projects that you're working on right now currently?
So, I just finished a commercial for Walk-Ons. It's a restaurant out here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Drew Brees owns a piece of it. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, that commercial, I think it just dropped like maybe 3 days ago.
Okay.
Yeah. So, that was pretty awesome.
That's awesome. But tell us what we're working about with the Black Girls Missing campaign.
Yeah, yeah. So everything in my career, I want to be very purposeful and meaningful. And the Black Girl Missing campaign, when I saw the audition, I was like, wow, like this is something people should care about that people don't, that I want to bring awareness to. So immediately I was like, I'm taking this role. And I had to play a mother. It was a very difficult role. I had to play a mother whose daughter was missing. And yeah, the whole purpose
Emotional.
the whole purpose of the campaign was to bring awareness to missing Black girls in the community. So yeah, I was
Okay.
happy I got to be part of it.
Well, that's good. I mean, you definitely giving back to this, your culture and society there at that point. I feel like, I mean, missing children and as a whole is something that needs to be brought to light. But I definitely feel like there's I guess there's a distance between the Black community and some of what goes on, I guess, as far as how the public attaches to it, how the policing attaches to it, how the culture and things have kind of adjusted even the way people think about it. You know, and definitely needs to have more light and more thought process, because I feel like as a whole, even just underprivileged races or communities don't get the same light that someone out of a different community would get when someone goes missing.
Yeah.
You know, you almost forgot about.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So just to bring light to that is awesome. So what brings elation to you in your life?
What brings elation to me? Just knowing that I am on the right path and that I'm following the path that I feel was lined out, you know, for me specifically, and just trusting that everything is, you know, working for my good. So that is what brings me elation.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, great. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about your socials and where people can find you and look at some of your films?
Yeah, so I'm mainly on Instagram, and my Instagram is Eli the Creative.
I like that. Eli the Creative. I like that. Did you watch the Book of Eli?
No, I haven't seen the Book of Eli.
What? All right, homework for the teacher.
For sure.
We got homework for the teacher here. All right, well, great. Well, thanks for visiting today and talking to us, and it was nice learning about you. And
yeah, thank you for having me.
I'm glad you get to tell your story, and hopefully we get to hear more from you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great.
Well, thanks for joining us on the Elation Podcast, where we enjoy exhilarating euphoria through creation and collaboration.